Part 5. Other emerging empire state of Maryland is suddenly victim to a time anomaly. A figure clad in armor, wielding a sword and shield, appears in their capital. He is a tall, broad-shouldered man with a strong jaw and piercing blue eyes. His armor is ornate and gleams in the sunlight, bearing the symbol of a red lion rampant. Behind him, a massive army marches forward, their numbers swelling the streets and alleyways. They hail from a land far to the east, a kingdom known as Lioness. Their rival causes a stir among the people of Maryland, who have never before seen such a formidable force. The leader of the army, Prince Dimitri, dismounts from his warhorse and approaches the governor's palace. His steps are confident and commanding, his presence imposing. As he nears the palace gates, they are flung open by a guard, revealing the governor standing before him. The governor, a frail and elderly man, bows deeply before Prince Dimitri, welcoming him to their shores. "Your Highness," he says, his voice trembling with fear and respect, "we are honored by your presence. How may we serve you and your people?" Prince Dimitri raises an eyebrow, studying the governor carefully. "Your hospitality is appreciated, but it is not the only reason for our visit. We have come to claim this land in the name of our kingdom, Lioness. You see, long ago, our forefathers and yours fought side by side against a common enemy. A bond was formed between us, a bond of friendship and alliance. But in the centuries since then, that bond has grown weak. We have come to renew that alliance, to strengthen the ties that bind us together." The governor looks taken aback by this declaration, but he does not dare to argue. Instead, he bows his head in submission. "Of course, Your Highness, we welcome you with open arms. Our people will be honored to fight alongside yours against any foe."
The Empire of Sunhaven decides to attempt to research arcane knowledge in response to the growing threat posed by the Shadow King and the influence of the otherworldly beings in Alabama. The leaders of the Empire of Sunhaven decide that it is imperative for them to gain a deeper understanding of arcane magic. They commission a group of scholars and mages to begin researching ancient tomes, studying lost scrolls, and exploring forgotten ruins in search of long-lost knowledge about the nature of magic and its workings. As the scholars and mages delve deeper into their studies, they discover a hidden library buried beneath the streets of the capital city. The library is filled with ancient texts, written in languages long thought to be lost, containing secrets about the origins of magic and the powerful beings that once ruled over the world. They also stumble upon a hidden chamber containing a long-forgotten artifact, an orb of crystal etched with strange runes and symbols. Through further research, they learn that this orb is known as the Sacred Relic and was last sighted in Europe 124 years earlier and was said to have various incredible magical abilities, but the only one recorded was the resurrection and control of an undead army. The scholars and mages spend months deciphering the ancient texts and studying the artifact, eventually learning how to activate its power. After a ceremony conducted by the High Priestess of Sunhaven and witnessed by the Emperor himself, the orb is finally activated, bathing the city in a blinding light. When the light fades, the Emperor stands before them, his features changed, his skin now pale and his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. It is revealed that the artifact had transformed him into a powerful lich, capable of commanding legions of the undead. They find records stating how a powerful alchemist, who had betrayed the ancient Empire of Frosthaven and joined their rivals, the Empire of Sanctity, had become a necromancer of similar lich-like appearance, while leading the undead army during the fabled Great Battle of Vatican City, in which both empires participated in, with the Danish native empire Frosthaven coming out on top, aiding Vatican City in its defense against the San Marino native empire Sanctity, with some rumors even stating the necromancer was powerful enough to summon a massive demon. But in learning this, they learn possible origins of the Shadow King, possibly. Towards the end of the records, there are mentions of a god emperor, and him being concerned about some new power that he could sense arriving. And the Empire of Sunhaven now begins to develop a theory that the Shadow King is in some way connected to the new power, in which case they are likely nowhere near prepared enough without knowing the full capabilities of the Sacred Relic, and even then they might not be prepared enough. They further learn that there are other sacred artifacts out there, and that there are rumors that those, combined with the sacred relic, and various other mentioned extremely magically powerful things were what allowed the God Emperor to ascend into being such. The discovery of the sacred relic, and the transformation of the Emperor into a powerful Lich has far-reaching implications for the Empire of Sunhaven. With this newfound power, they are poised to become a major player on the world stage, but they must also grapple with the responsibility that comes with such immense power. The Emperor, now a Lich, must learn to control his newfound abilities and use them wisely, lest they be turned against the very people he swore to protect. The Empire of Frostreach then decides to invade and try to conquer the state of Connecticut. The Empire of Frostreach marches across the snow-covered landscape, their numbers overwhelming any resistance they might face. They are led by their Emperor, a tall and imposing figure clad in ice-encrusted armor, his icy blue eyes fixed on the horizon. The soldiers of Frostreach are hardened warriors, accustomed to the harsh conditions of their homeland. They march with determination, their breath-forming clouds of steam in the frigid air. The Empire of Frostreach also makes sure to send in the Kryakin to guarantee their victory. As the army of Frostreach draws closer to the border of Connecticut, they are met by a scouting party of the state's forces. The soldiers of Frostreach, impressed by the resilience and courage of their enemies, attempt to parley with them. They offer terms of surrender, promising that those who lay down their arms will be treated with honor and respect. The scouting party, however, refuses the offer, instead choosing to fight to the death. The ensuing battle is brutal and bloody, but ultimately results in the victory of the Empire of Frostreach. The Kryakin, true to their nature, prove to be invaluable assets in the battle. They move swiftly across the snow, freezing anything in their path that threatens their allies. They use their icy breath to create barriers of ice that protect the soldiers of Frostreach from enemy arrows and spears. As the battle rages on, the Kryakin form a cohesive unit, working in tandem with the soldiers to carve a path through the Connecticution forces. The Emperor of Frostreach, pleased with the progress of his army, decides to lead a personal assault on the capital city of Hartford. He mounts his mighty ice dragon, a beast as cold as the heart of winter, and commands his army to follow. The city of Hartford, unaware of the impending doom, goes about its daily business oblivious to the danger that lies just beyond its gates. The army of Frostreach marches through the snow, their boots crunching on the icy ground. They are a formidable sight, their icy breath-forming clouds in the frigid air, their weapons gleaming with a deathly sheen. As they approach the city walls, they are met by a desperate defense led by Governor Rell, a seasoned warrior in his own right. The battle rages on 4 hours, with neither side willing to give an inch. The Kryakin, meanwhile, slip past the city gates, infiltrating the city itself. They move stealthily through the streets, freezing anything that moves in their path. They use their icy breath to create a path of destruction, carving a bloody swath through the unprepared civilians. The people of Hartford, caught off guard by the sudden attack, are left scrambling for safety as their homes are reduced to shattered ice and frozen ruins. The battle at the city gates rages on, with the soldiers of Frostreach slowly gaining the upper hand. Governor Rell, realizing that the city cannot hold out much longer, orders a retreat. He gathers what remains of his forces and leads them through a secret underground tunnel that connects to a nearby river. The tunnel was constructed long ago as a means of evacuating the city in times of crisis, and now it proves its worth as the last of the Connecticution forces disappear into the darkness of the tunnel. The Emperor of Frostreach orders his army to pursue them. They follow the river, their boots splashing through the frigid water, until they reach the mouth of the tunnel. The Kryakin, meanwhile, have already infiltrated the tunnel, using their icy breath to light the way, and freezing any obstacles that stand in their path. The soldiers of Frostreach follow, the sounds of battle deeper into the tunnel, eventually emerging into a hidden cavern system beneath the city. The caverns are filled with ice formations of all shapes and sizes, some towering hundreds of feet into the air, their delicate shapes threatened by the flickering torchlight. The Cryakian use their powers to stabilize the formations, ensuring that they don't collapse and bury the retreating forces. The pursuit continues through the labyrinth in tunnels, with the soldiers of Frostreach growing more and more weary from the constant movement and the lack of fresh air. They stumble upon a hidden chamber where Governor Rel and the remaining Connecticution forces have taken refuge. The chamber is lit by flickering candles and filled with the sounds of desperate prayers and weeping. The Cryakin, always cold and unfeeling, stand silently at the back of the chamber, their icy breath misting the air. They watch impassively as the soldiers of Frostreach storm into the chamber, hacking and slashing at the defenseless civilians. Blood paints the walls red and the floor slippery with gore. The governor, realizing that all hope is lost, raises his sword in defiance and charges toward the Emperor, determined to take as many of them down with him as possible. The Emperor, amused by the governor's foolish bravery, easily deflects his clumsy attacks. With a single blow of his massive sword, he decapitates the governor, sending his head rolling across the floor. The soldiers of Frostreach, emboldened by their leader's display of power, continue their rampage, sparing no one. Even the Cryakin, cold and unfeeling as they are, seem to take pleasure in the carnage. In the midst of the chaos, a lone figure slips away unnoticed. It is Soren, the young mage who had been imprisoned by the governor earlier. Soren had managed to escape his cell during the initial attack on the city, and had been hiding ever since. Now, with the city in ruins and the governor dead, he sees an opportunity to exact his revenge, and thus Soren decides to join the Empire of Frostreach, who are finishing off the last few Connecticution solidars at that very moment. Soren reveals himself to the Emperor, who is surprised by the youth's presence. He tells the Emperor that he had been imprisoned by Governor Rel, and that he had witnessed the injustices committed by the ruling class. The Emperor, impressed by Soren's determination and loyalty, welcomes him into his ranks with open arms. The battle for Hartford is won, but the cost is high. The city lies in ruins, its people scattered or dead. The soldiers of Frostreach, exhausted from the long campaign, take what they can from the ruins and prepare to march on to their next target. Soren, now a trusted advisor to the Emperor, watches as they depart, wondering what other kingdoms they will conquer and what role he will play in their conquest. The state of Kentucky is suddenly struck by an invasion of mutant creatures. The invasion begins in the rural areas, as small groups of mutants emerge from the woods, attacking isolated farms and villages. At first, the locals are terrified and confused, unable to comprehend the scale of the threat they face. As the days pass, however, the invading forces grow stronger and more organized, revealing themselves to be an army of mutants led by a powerful, otherworldly being known as the Shadow King. The Shadow King is a monstrous creature, part human and part demon, his body twisted and deformed by the same mutagenic forces that have created his armor. He possesses incredible strength and resilience, as well as the ability to control minds and summon demonic servants at will. His presence strikes fear into the hearts of even the bravest warriors, and his mere presence on the battlefield often tips the balance of power in his favor. As the days pass, the people of Kentucky begin to organize themselves into makeshift militias, banding together in desperate attempts to defend their homes and loved ones from the invading horde. They learn quickly that conventional weapons are useless against the Shadow King and his minions, and they must find other ways to defeat them. Some turn to magic, while others seek out ancient artifacts and relics that they believe may hold the key to victory. But when the Shadow King himself arrives, all hope is lost, and all fighting stops. His mere arrival having been enough to place the entire state under his brainwashed, willing control. The Shadow King declares himself ruler of Kentucky, his monstrous form towering over the terrified populace as he issues forth his twisted, demonic proclamations. His army of mutants spreads out across the land, pillaging and destroying everything in their path. The people of Kentucky, once proud and free, are now little more than slaves to the Shadow King's whim. The Empire of Sunhaven decides to attempt to form a diplomatic alliance with the state of Delaware. Several emissaries are sent to Delaware bearing news of the Shadow King's rise to power in Kentucky and the Empire of Sunhaven's discovery of the sacred relic. They request that the state of Delaware join forces with them in an effort to counter the threat posed by the Shadow King and his army of mutants. The emissaries also offer their assistance in helping to defend Delaware should the Shadow King decide to expand his conquests further east. Delaware's leaders gather in secret council to discuss the proposal from Sunhaven, while some are wary of trusting another empire, particularly one that has only recently revealed its own powerful magic and artifacts. Others point out that the threat posed by the Shadow King is grave and immediate. After much debate, it is decided that Delaware will enter into a tenuous alliance with Sunhaven, agreeing to share intelligence and military resources in the fight against the Shadow King. The Empire of Frostreach decides to invade and attempt to conquer the state of Rhode Island to finally unite the region of New England. Soren, the young mage who had joined their ranks, is eager to prove his worth and fight alongside them. He trains tirelessly, honing his magical abilities and learning new spells under the guidance of the Emperor's trusted advisors. As they march toward Rhode Island, Soren's skills and courage earn him a place among the elite forces of the Empire. The army of Frostreach crosses the border into Rhode Island, encountering stiff resistance from the local militia. The battle rages on 4 days, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. Finally, Soren, seeing an opportunity to make a difference, uses his magic to call down a massive hailstorm upon the enemy forces. The hailstones, as large as a man's fist, pummel the soldiers relentlessly, causing widespread devastation and confusion. The Emperor, impressed by Sauron's display of power and strategic thinking, promotes him to the rank of general. With renewed strength and determination, the army of Frostreach presses forward, eventually capturing the capital city of Providence. The Emperor, now ruler of New England, declares it a new province of the Empire, with Soren as its governor. As Soren takes up his new role, he must navigate the complex web of political alliances and rivalries that exist within the Empire.